underdog teams in Philadelphia that failed anyway, but it wasn't. They didn't fail because of money. The Flyers failed. They had the most expensive roster, but couldn't do anything.
The most Philadelphia take ever. I rooted against a team for this reason, even though it was in my hometown.
I don't
find ice hockey very relatable either.
Well, I don't know anything about it. To be honest with you, I don't know anything about it. I can't.
The guy does have a Phillies hat on today.
He does. It's a good-looking Phillies hat.
Overachievers, the 93 Phillies. Underachievers, the Flyers.
The Phillies spend no money on their team, I don't think.
I was going to say, I think Bryce Harper makes quite a bit of money.
I live in Los Angeles now. I've changed my standards. Back in the day when I was a kid,
All right. Well, we had a high standard. Did you like that? How about that, guys? We had a high standard for the game on Saturday night. And halfway through the fourth quarter, I thought we were going to get it. Luka was in the game, making the run. The Celtics were doing the thing that they do, which is they play brilliantly and then they take their foot off the gas. And they were in the process of having a very Celtics game. And then midway through the fourth quarter, LeBron pulled up lame, Dave. And it was still a very interesting game. We're going to talk about it. We learned some things from it. But now one of the biggest questions in the NBA is the severity and what sort of lingering effects LeBron's leg injury is going to have. So I saw what you reported yesterday. Who knows what you may know by the time this podcast runs. But LeBron having a groin injury is obviously concerning. It's going to be something that they're going to have to manage.
Brian, it was a big blow, and you knew that was somewhat serious when he goes to the back and doesn't come back and go into the game because, as he told us post-game, he lives for moments like that. A 4-point game at Boston Garden, you can count on one hand how many games he has left in that building. In his career, maybe if there's some finals matchups, it's going to require more than one hand, but this is a precious commodity to be in that situation. And the injury kept him out of things. And I'm reporting that it's going to be most likely multiple weeks. He's going to let that kind of injury calm down a bit. And then there's going to be some further evaluation to get a full extent of the severity of the strain. But it's a tough moment because Rui Hachimura is out for at least another week, as JJ Redick told us on Saturday. Jackson Hayes, they hope to get back on this current road trip, but obviously he's dealing with knee soreness. And Luka is a little banged up himself from a fall that he took in the New York game, and he was wincing as he was working his back out against the Celtics. So they are not in a great place health-wise. It's a good thing they did all this work up to this moment to surge up the Western Conference standings. They still won 20 of their last 25 games, even with this loss to the Celtics. But now it's a different math that we're talking about for the remainder of the season. It's about what you can do to perhaps still host a first-round playoff series while the biggest priority is having LeBron James right for the start of the postseason.
Yeah, this is the nature of the NBA, specifically the Western Conference right now. It's just fragile. So, they're absolutely flying high. They look great. Jackson Hayes going down really affected them, especially with Rui Hachimura out. When you watch this game, we'll talk to you about this in a second, Bontemps. When you watch this game, even though Kristaps Porzingis didn't play for the Celtics, you could very clearly tell the Celtics game plan was to take advantage of the Lakers' lack of size in the interior. I mean, LeBron was playing center for big stretches of the game. Luka was playing center at times out there. And so now that they're just really thin with big bodies, I felt that they lost the game because of their lack of offense. Despite how the Celtics were able to take advantage of mismatches. It wasn't like the Lakers got cooked on defense. Jason Tatum was great. He had 40 points. But they couldn't generate enough points. And so that's going to be on Luka's shoulders. Maybe Luka's sore back a little bit because he's going to have to just score. Bontemps, what did we learn from this matchup? What do you take away from how that game, that 10-point win for the Celtics, played out?
I mean, certainly I think watching the game, like you said, we saw the Celtics again get a 20-point lead against one of the other five best teams in the league. They've done that against the Cavs, the Nuggets, the Knicks, and now the Lakers, and they have the Thunder coming in, the other one of the top six teams in the league, on Wednesday to the Garden. So we'll see how it goes in that game. So I thought more or less we saw the Celtics be who they've been all season. I do think from the Lakers side, seeing them in person for the first time since the trade, JJ Redick deserves a ton of credit for how hard he has these guys playing defensively. Like we've talked about, they don't have a lot of, necessarily, they don't have an overwhelming a lot of defensive talent, especially when they're going to try to have, the combination of Luka and Austin Reeves and LeBron all out there at the same time, though LeBron's been really engaged at that end of the court. But you saw in this game, to me, the thing that's allowed them to be so good defensively is that they've been playing so hard and with so much energy and flying around and, really being committed to the scheme that JJ wants them to play. And I think as you saw this game go on, you saw the Lakers get a little heavy-legged in the second half, being down a couple of guys, having to play to such
I thought
a
LeBron looked,
high
Dave, I thought
level.
LeBron looked tired even before the groin injury. I thought he looked.
Yeah.
There was one point we looked up, and 4 of the 5 Lakers on the court, this was early in the fourth quarter, all had their arms at their sides, holding themselves.
Sorry to interrupt
in
you,
the position
but
they were gassed.
And the Lakers have done a good job in transition over the past few weeks, and the Celtics got out in transition a bunch in this game as it went along too. But you did see the wear and tear on the Lakers as the game went on. And yes, they're obviously down Jackson Hayes and Rui, and having two of your top 7 guys not playing, you're going to feel it from an energy standpoint. But I do think we saw a little bit of the challenges that they're going to have when they're playing in a 7-game series against higher level teams, because they're going to have to play at that kind of frenetic pace to really be able to hang, I think, defensively. And, we'll see if LeBron can hold up. I mean, it's remarkable. We're talking about a guy in his age 40 season. He missed 4 games. It's impressive he'd made it this far without any kind of muscle injury. And certainly, hopefully, this is on the shorter end of the timeline, because it's been great to watch these guys play. But, they're I think 1 loss ahead of Denver, 2 ahead of Memphis, and 3 ahead of Houston. And, those 4 teams are going to be jockeying for position over the next couple of weeks. And we'll see where that lands. But like I said, I thought the Lakers defense was impressive and their energy level was impressive. And as you mentioned, as the game went on, there's a lot of shots that have to be made by guys who are not necessarily reliable 3-point shooters. Those shots went in the first half. They didn't, especially in the third quarter. And that ultimately was the difference in the game.
Yeah, Dave, you in your reporting, of course, you had to mention the fact that LeBron had that groin injury like 5-6 years ago, that Christmas Day game. I think the Lakers, I know we repeated that stat like 100 times, because weren't they like famously in second place in the West?
I think they were 4th. They were 4th.
Oh, they were 4th. Okay. LeBron was going across the lane on defense. He took a funny step, and basically the Lakers season was never the same. They ended up missing the playoffs. He came back and then shut it back down. That was a groin injury. It was the first time he'd ever really had a significant muscle injury in his career. It was sort of an indication that his late 30s, or his mid 30s, I guess, had arrived when that happened. But you asked him about that, or somebody asked him about that, and you had it in your reporting, what he said comparing the feel of the injuries.
Yeah, he said that it did not feel in the moment as severe as that one. That caused him to miss 17 straight games and really compromised the rest of his season and the rest of the Lakers season, that they didn't make the playoffs that year. After he said it, though, he turned around and knocked on the wooden locker behind him to not jinx his self-diagnosis. Listen, it wasn't like he was dour and completely upset and frustrated. I think he was presenting kind of a veneer of confidence that we've already proven that this group can do a lot. We are up for the competition. This is the next challenge that we have to tackle while I take care of my body. And his kind of parting message was, I'm waiting for the moment that we're all whole and we can compete together. And certainly he anticipates that moment coming before it's too late. And so there's still a lot of noise that this team can make. It's just a different pathway than it had been hoping it would be taking. And I guess you want to go glass half full. This is a brutal stretch of the season coming up, and it could have taxed LeBron in ways other than this groin injury popping up. And so while he will be rehabbing it, the groin, perhaps it saves some energy in his legs that he can